Hello, everybody, and welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa yet again. And I am so happy to have with me the beautiful and lovely Veronica Swift, as you can see from her awesome logo. She's back. You've been away for a while, Veronica. How are you? So good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm doing all right. Been through some weird stuff like everybody has, or seemingly recently. We go through it, we come out on the other side, we regroup, we start over. Um,
Absolutely. And every time we come out on the other side, we're just a teeny tiny little bit stronger and wiser and more conscious, right? Would you say that's true for you too?
Stronger. Well, right now, I'd have to think about that. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I looked over in the direction of the voice that I was hearing, and I said, and sometimes it just beats you up.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to regroup after that, right? Well, I'm
Exactly.
glad that you've regrouped and you are back here.
I'm
Really
back.
good to have you.
Thanks. I appreciate you hosting
Yeah.
my nuttiness.
I appreciate you too, I assure you. Really good. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking again about one of your blogs that you've just done. I think it's a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I've done a couple on this Stargate spiritual gate portal topic,
yeah.
which is gigantic, massive. There's a ton of information. I keep taking notes, and I think I'm at 36 pages of handwritten notes now, and I think I'm at letter D in the alphabet of, of
Wow. Yeah.
of
I
my
believe
resources.
it is, but you know what's so cool, I think, is that more and more people are actually coming out and kind of like collaborating these stories, right? And they don't even know they're collaborating them.
Right.
But the stuff that we've really been dumbed down to, I want to say, the stuff that we have been hidden from us so much is now coming out and people are speaking about it in a major way. So there's not even doubt anymore amongst our clan, anyway, if you want to call it that. I mean, I think there's still a lot when you're looking at the mainstream world and people that haven't sort of opened their eyes to this, what's happening on the underbelly of the world. But it's now not even doubted anymore that these portals, stargates, spiritual gates, etc., exist, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've got it on tape, it's on film. There's, I was just listening to a video recently where Gene Deco talked about some kid who set up a portal in his room and filmed it for TikTok and put it out on TikTok. And that jives with what I've seen from the lady who babysat for Elon Musk when he was a kid. He took some kind of ancient artifacts and set, this is what she said anyway. He had these ancient artifacts. In fact, his mother that she called Light had a lot of ancient artifacts in the house. So I guess they were around. He took a couple of them, set them up on his bed, created a portal over his bed, and he went through and dragged her with him. And she said his friends, quote unquote, just about ate her up.
Yeah.
She had to call on Jesus Christ to get her out of there, and the portal spit her back out. And she rolled out of the bedroom into the living room. So yeah, I mean, this information is definitely out there, but it's also kind of confusing because there seems to be a lot of different kinds of them, and the way they get set up are different, and some of them seem to be naturally occurring, some of them are ancient, some of them have been noted in the Bible, like in Genesis, they talk about the windows to heaven. At least I think that's the
Right.
term they use, are windows. They don't say gates specifically, but they seem to be the
Right.
same thing.
Well,
So
doorways, right? Doorways.
doorways.
Sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah. So and then there's ways you can travel physically from one location to another. Like Caleb was talking on one of your previous shows about the guy in the golf shoes and the pink shirt. I thought
CIA. Well,
that was hysterical. That was a hysterical little bit. I love that. I think I read that like 4 times over. He
yeah.
says he's up to his nose in the swamp of the jungle, and then this dude in a pink shirt and golf shoes just poof appears out of nowhere.
He said that was one of the most amazing things you'd ever seen. No. Like, right,
Poofs
exactly.
out, right? So which, and then I got me thinking about what Jessie Zaboter had talked about with chakras. She thinks or believes that chakras are internal portals. So do we all have the ability to just like poof out here and poof in somewhere else? I mean, it's an astonishing thing to think about. If we actually have that capability in ourselves as human beings,
Right.
and that's been suppressed by the
Right.
Brotherhood and other occult. Gosh, I mean, that's just astonishing. And then the military, of course, is built underground. I
Yeah.
guess you have to call them Stargates. The difference between natural and unnatural, there's a kind of a technology terminology thing going on with that, which who knows if that's universal or it's just, somebody has decided that's the terminology you're going to use these days. I don't really know. But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting and very weird stuff.
Well, firstly, I want to just say about the chakras. I definitely agree that they are portals. I mean, well, firstly, they're like energy doorways, if you will, into the body. And I think the body, is designed. We are designed we are created in the image of God. So I always say when we start getting to know our bodies, and the amazing bodies that we have, we will start realizing just how important they are and just how magical, and I say magical in the purest form, right? Because I think that's the only word I can find for that right now. But I agree with that. And just going in, when we're just looking at as a healer, and that's the levels I would work with the chakras, just to see the information every chakra holds. It's a blueprint to your entire existence. So when we start delving into that, and these guys, of course, they know these things. And I mean, I have no doubt, because when you're just looking again, what we know, like at the fallen angels and stuff like that, the information they've brought down, they have complete privy to this type of information. They know how powerful the human being is, which is why they're really trying to dumb us down to the extent that they are. And I love the fact that we are actually slowly but surely, albeit slowly but surely, we're starting to wake up again. So I think that's an amazing thing. So yeah.
It's a slog of a process though, because when you have to dig around to find one person's opinion and experience and another person's opinion and experience, and try to capture maybe 10 or 15 or 20 of those, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And it's really sad to me that it's such a slog, and the average person doesn't really have time to do it. So boy, I
Well,
don't
that's,
know.
I think because they've been busied with so much other nonsense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think we're all busied with a lot of nonsense. I think that's their goal, is to keep us
Busy
occupied.
with a whole lot of hello telephones, the whole 5G kind of
Yeah.
dumbing us down.
The
Um,
technology life, sucking
yeah,
us into technology.
exactly,
I think
exactly.
I've run across, in the process of looking at the spiritual gate, Stargate, portal stuff, a lot of information also on fallen angelic technology and the amount they have and the amount they've brought, and just how, basically demonic most if not all technology is. So the more they thrust technology upon us, the more we are getting sucked into their ethos, if you will, which kind of frightens me in a way. And I hope we can find a way to extract ourselves from it before we all wind up with virtual reality headsets on, flying around some World of Warcraft universe we don't want to be in, or however they're going to set it up.
I agree with that.
I have to say, of all the topics that I've researched the past 3.5 years or so, this one is the most fascinating to me. Like, were we originally supposed to be traveling via portals? Is this something that human beings are like, is it a God-given gift? Were we or have we just been cut off from that? I don't know the answer to these things, but it is a question I have. Is it just, have the elite just sequestered all this information for themselves because it's so darn
Yeah.
useful and helpful that
Yeah.
they can't allow us to know about it or to have access to it? It certainly is. It's
It's
something.
like, I know Caleb in a lot of his shows as well has mentioned that, and I mean, I hope I don't get it wrong now, but it's like what he's saying as well. Definitely, we're living in this fallen universe here, right?
Right.
And we're supposed to be living hundreds of years, basically. But because we've obviously fallen, we've again been disconnected, cut off, shut down from our true divine source. That we're unaware of the power that we actually, that is within us. So I believe that we are destined, again, we created an image of God. And I always say, the body is the most intelligent vehicle we will ever possess. And most of us only use between 4 to 10% of our brain power, right? In other words, our cellular power as well. So when we start tapping into who we truly are, and if we are created in the image of God, and we have this intelligence, this potential that's available to us, but again, because we've been dumbed down, cut off, shut down, and I truly believe they know this. These guys know this, and I mean, you just look at these. Again, when you're speaking to people like Caleb and others as well, you speak about these the Alfheim and stuff like that, and how intelligent they are. I mean, their IQs range in the thousands, right? So they are super, super, super smart. It doesn't make them super compassionate. And in my opinion, is they've probably used all their intelligence for their brains and nothing here, you know? So, through the chakra system, that intelligence is then divided. And, we become multifaceted beings, but we've got to learn how to reclaim our power.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the thing. We're well, and the first step is reclaiming it through information, right? We have to know a little bit before you
the churches have told us that it's evil. So through religious indoctrination and brainwashing, we've been taught that these things are evil. So a lot of the stuff that I do believe we've been taught is evil is so not evil. It's empowering. So when we start looking at, for this information within ourselves, when we start doing this self-reflection and you start delving into the deeper layers of who we truly are, then suddenly it's like you're a witch and you're a this and you're a that. There's a big difference between someone who understands their God-given power and that of a witch, So again, they've been very clever in terms of how they've brainwashed us and made us.
There's so much brainwashing that to dig down and uncover is no small feat. It really isn't. But if humans have this, like, let's assume that chakras are for portability, and that is part of the God-given function of the human body, then it must also be the God-given function of animals as well.
Exactly.
According to, how these gates function, which isn't the easiest thing to try to understand. If you think of a piano keyboard and kind of what middle C is in the middle of a piano keyboard, and that each C above that or below that constitutes an octave. Jessie talks a lot about the octaves. I had no idea what on earth she was talking about until I started referencing a piano keyboard. There are 7 full octaves on a piano keyboard. And those sounds, each sound, like middle C or the C's below that, middle C is actually C4. And then there's C3, C2, C1 below that. C1's the lowest C on the piano keyboard. And that's in about the 32 hertz range. So if you measure it as a frequency instead of a tone, it's in hertz. And whales actually can sing in that range, so they can sing below that C. I don't know what you call the octave below the first octave on a piano keyboard, but they can sing in that range. They can sing in the first, second, third, fourth octave range of the piano keyboard. And then dolphins and other ocean mammals can sing some up in the sixth octave, but not much above that. And then you've got the mammal Mariah Carey, who's got, like, Lord knows how many octaves she can sing. She can go way, way above that. Jesse mentioned at one point that, many other kinds of spiritual gates can be opened by those sounds. So they open by sound, and they're opened by light
Sound,
as well.
Music is incredibly important to open
and
these
harmony.
things.
I don't know exactly the harmony. She mentioned at one point that boy choirs are used for opening spiritual gates as well, which I always think back to the boy choir reference that Svali made on one of her posts. She said that the Vatican has a demonic boy choir. The Jesuits have a boy choir, and they sing the most beautiful songs to Lucifer, which always just creeped me out.
But isn't Lucifer, when you look at Lucifer, I mean, he's really the angel that has the most beautiful voice. I mean, if you just look at the whole entertainment industry that belongs to Lucifer, I mean, how many amazing singers are there? Let's just take singers, right? And the most incredible voices, right? So there is that. I mean, Lucifer was really the angel of also of beauty, right? I mean, he's said to have been God's most beautiful angel as well, who could sing and dance and have all these amazing spiritual gifts, right? So it makes sense that, he would obviously cash in on that or bank in on that and have these incredible voices sing to him. But it's exactly, I mean, it's and I know a lot of the survivors and overcomers have spoken about, they often, in fact, I think probably all of them, especially, and I'm talking about the high level, the hierarchy kind of kids, have all had very, very strong singing voices. They can sing beautifully. So they use very much for those gates that they open them. And I think it's not just that, but it's also the sex magic, that whole, so there's an array of things that they use. There
seems to be a lot of different modalities that can be used to open these gates. So that's interesting.
They're very clever.
I don't know if that's just for I don't know if that includes the man-made stargates or or if it's true for all of them. Like if they can, it seems like from what I've gathered that there are devices that can be made or maybe acquired from fallen angelics, or somehow they're acquired, but they're not like occurring in nature, kind of God created occurring in nature stargates. These are ones that have been built specifically for transport. So I have to wonder if those operate exactly like the natural ones. Did they create them to operate like the natural ones? Can they copy technology from God to create them?
They can, but remember, the dark brethren cannot create, they can only emulate. So I would imagine they probably would have most definitely copied the technology of something that already exists, and probably duplicated that and created counterfeit. That's what it probably is. They've created counterfeit.
But they've also been talked. Jesse's spoken of how they do what she called root work, which is pulling roots around, just out in the wilderness, and creating a circular structure with roots that then can be used as a portal. So it can't be that all of them have to have technology associated with them.
No, not technology. It's all energy. They would know then. I would imagine that they would know where the ley lines are and the sort of congested energy, if you will. And they probably would, and they would know how to create these things to get the best, to harness the energy. So they would know what to do to harness the energy for sure, if they've been involved in those systems for a while. So I've no doubt that they do that. And probably to different levels. Though it probably wouldn't be as powerful as, let's say, the bigger ones or the real deal type thing, but they would serve a purpose. They would serve a purpose for whatever purpose they want them. It might just be a temporary thing. It might just be a quick in way to go somewhere or get somewhere. Yeah, for sure they'd be able to create that, but not they will use what's already there and what they know, and they would emulate that. That's my opinion. I mean, do I know these things for sure? No, but
No, I don't either. I do a lot of reading and a lot of thinking and a lot of guessing about how they may operate.
Likewise, and I do a lot of intuiting, as I call it. Intuiting. If it doesn't smell right to me, it's like, nah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. But
Someone
what is
sent me, go ahead.
No, carry on.
Someone sent me a I don't know if what you'd call it, a pamphlet, a white paper, a piece of information. And one of the things in this that it was from a fairly reliable source. So I thought, well, I'll take this with a grain of salt. And one of the things it said is that when when passing through a Stargate, so the difference between a Stargate and a portal is just three-dimensional travel. So one location to another on in the third dimension, which we'll call planet Earth. And then a Stargate, though, can be, you can use a Stargate to travel to a different dimension.
Yeah.
I don't know how many dimensions there are. I know there's been described at least 10 that I've heard of, probably many more than that. And I don't know what they're good for, but one of the things that this pamphlet said is that some of the dimensions are used as jails for fallen angelics. So I'm wondering, you have to wonder if you can specify which dimension. You must be able to specify which dimension you want to go to and be able to go to that dimension. I wonder if there's anybody who's ever dialed in the wrong one and got themselves sent to a fallen angelic jailhouse dimension.
I'm pretty sure there are. That's why there's probably a whole lot of prisoners there now that can't get out. It's actually interesting.
Perfect sense to me then why I always used to wonder, why would they teach young children like severe, put them through severe fighting training? Because I would imagine that once you went through, if you ever accidentally went through the wrong Stargate to the wrong dimension, you would need that training to get through. I imagine too that I think I remember hearing somewhere that there are individuals or entities that guard these portals and Stargates and spiritual gates on the other end. So you may have to fight your way into whatever dimension you're trying to access. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that they would have codes, whatever you want to call it. And I know Caleb, and I don't know if it's relevant to this, just sort of thinking about that, you would access certain places just by your bloodline. It's kind of like part of that vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
So you would then just access certain things just through your bloodline or your blood group maybe. And obviously
I have seen this. Let me read you this, because that I think is very true. Gene Decode, I like his stuff because it's just off the wall and really fascinating, and blows my mind every time I listen to him. A recent Gene Decode interview with Dr. Lee Merritt, he says the keys to the Stargates are in the genome, in your DNA. To operate the Stargates, you would be incinerated if you don't have appropriate genomics, like in the book of Daniel, where they went through the fiery furnace, and that's a reference to the fact that the Babylonian cabal, fallen angelic lineages couldn't go through these Stargates because they had the wrong DNA. They had fallen angelic DNA. So that's why they need human DNA to go through. And Jesse, of course, has talked extensively about that as well. So something in the DNA. When I was a kid, DNA, they talked a lot about junk in DNA. They still talk about junk in DNA. Like your DNA doesn't, lots of it doesn't matter. There's just a gigantic amount of it that means nothing and codes for nothing and doesn't help you at all.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. And I'm going to say what I believe junk DNA is, because the average human is born with a double helix, right?
That's what they tell us, I guess.
Yeah. But and literally what I believe is our DNA has been disconnected. Actually, we have 12 strands. And so it's been disconnected. And as we evolve spiritually, so it reconnects. So in other words, it's like a plug replugging again, plugging into a socket where you're getting empowered. And that's how we grow in our consciousness and expansion. And that's how we kind of climb up the ladder again, if you will, spiritually, to be able to get back to our original state. Remember, we're in a fallen state here. So the junk DNA is what they will tell us it's junk DNA. They tell us that because they don't want us to know better. But it's literally disconnected DNA that keeps us in a slave state. So that we become like the slave species for these creatures of the night. But as we grow and as we evolve, so our DNA, as I said, it's like plugs in again. And then we automatically raise our vibration, raise our frequency, raise our consciousness again to the original place that we were before we fell. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to that opinion.
I was just looking something up while you were talking, because I think I've heard in a number of different locations that it's not just 12 strands, but they talk about 64 strands of DNA.
I would say it's very possible to have more, but for where we at right now, to get through where we at right now, I would say it's 12 strands, because if we just look at again at the number 12, it's a sacred number here on earth as well. 12 is one of the sacred numbers. So I would say that to get through the dimensions, if you will, the portals, the stargates, the spiritual gates, that amount of DNA needs to be reconnected. You know, we talk about, you know, for me, it's like, yes, there could be more than 64 strands, but we wouldn't even know what to do with those other strands unless we start connecting and dealing with what we need to deal with in the here and the now. Most of us look outside of ourselves and we look at these, oh, we're going to be rescued by the Pleiadians or the what? Bullshit. Your body is your spaceship. You know, so many people are waiting to be rescued or saved by something or someone else. And the spaceship is going to come whisk them off to their home planet. You wouldn't be here if that were the case. Right. And we need to, your body, and that's why I say, you know, with all our chakras and the aura and all of that, because within the aura, every iota of who you are is vibrating. It can't be another way, right? It's the only part of you that doesn't lie. Your energy is the only part of you that doesn't lie. So when you start learning about your body, and that's why I believe Jesus said, know thyself. You've got to get to know yourself on this level, because as you start getting to know the power that exists and resides within you, your DNA automatically starts reconnecting. And then when those original or initial, and I'm going to say original 12 strands start reconnecting, and we then are able to maneuver our way through the places that we need to maneuver our way to get back, as I said, to our original state again.
So here's something I just looked up while you were speaking about that. And this individual, because I find this fascinating. So God, they said, quote, God created humanity originally with a 64 strand general set of DNA. That this number stranded person would have one target strand activated. They'd have all 64 of the DNA strands, but they would have one strand that was in the lead. And he says, quote, so they could activate that gate system.
But if you have one strand that's in the lead, right? I would say we all have that double strand that's currently already active. We wouldn't be humans and we wouldn't be alive if that were not the case. So for me, that maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
But for me, that would be true for everyone then, because we are all individual human beings. We are all created in the image of God. We wouldn't be here unless we were, right? And I'm just talking about the human species now, even animals and things. I've got my own opinion on that. And they are also created in the image of God, a different aspect of God, but nevertheless, still created in the image of God, right? But as a human being, it's like, yes, so we have that core strand, if you will. And that's the core understanding of who we are and where we come from. And once we start understanding and accessing that aspect of who we are and where we come from, then it becomes easy. But right now, as I said, too many of us have given our power away to something or someone that's going to come rescue us. And that's why I say your body is your spaceship. Your body is the thing that's going to elevate you through the different portals and things. And that's why these guys know how to do that. That's why the dark ones know how to do that, because they're working with this fallen angel technology. That information has been available to them before they fell. And now all they've done is inverted it. And now they're using it for nefarious purposes and hiding it from the rest of us. And it's actually a good thing, because it makes us a lot smarter. It makes us go figure it out ourselves. We don't get that from another being. We get it from ourselves. And those of us who do the inner work, the shadow work, sit, reflect, use discernment, etc., we will find that. And when we access that, it's like that one strand. To me, what that means is that alignment with God, then we start working from that place, and then it starts sparking up again. That's my opinion. I've always felt that way.
Could be. I'd have to think about it. It's hard to conceptualize things that are so small inside.
To me, it's so easy to conceptualize that, to be perfectly honest. It's like that's, and I'm not saying I'm right in everything, by no means, but it's like, to me, simple, when I say it's simple, it doesn't mean it's easy. Right? No, for me, that's the simple way of thinking, because we've got to get away from all this complex stuff, this complex mindset and this complex intellectual thoughts about 10 million things. There's a simplicity in who we are. And the more simplistic we make our lives, and the more we then release all the attachments, these webs that we've wound around ourselves, the simplicity is we belong to God. And when we go back to that place, everything becomes simple again, simplistic, and then we're able to grow in that power. And power is not how big your sword is or how strong your muscles are. No. Power is the truth. It's the knowledge. It's the compassion. It's the kindness. It's the caring. It's that beauty of knowing who I am. And when we know who we are, anything is possible.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, to unlayer yourself from the lies, or to unlayer yourself from the, the trauma that they seem to put everybody through, whether it's, watching 9/11, which traumatized an entire nation and half the rest of the world.
Over and over and over again, right?
Over and over.
That repetition.
I see a lot of people, though, that they don't watch TV anymore. They don't listen to the news anymore. They've really restricted themselves from a lot of that. So I think that's good. That's a first step. And I think love that. Learning about some of this information is one of the next steps. And we do see a lot of people, finally, it's taken a number of years since the beginning of the COVID era, we'll call it, but that started really to unmask some of the real heinous crud that these elites seem to want to push on all of us.
They're just so disgusting, man. They're just so disgusting. And
they miscalculated. They miscalculated, and it's keeping everybody home, because a lot of people just sat down and started to think, instead of being preoccupied with 12 hours a day of work and travel, and then you got kids and whatnot. So I think the COVID era allowed a lot of people to wake up, and that's about the only good thing that's really come out of it. But it is a good thing.
Yeah, but I also think that our dark brethren have, God has given Lucifer a certain amount of time to have dominion over the earth. And this is kind of like the end times for them now as well. but they don't, obviously no one likes to let go. You know, you're going to hold on for all that you can. And that's what I think is also happening. Yeah, they've not wanted to let go. They've not wanted to release their power and whatever it is, and say, okay, cool, game over, right?
Mm.
It's a
One day
situation.
I would imagine that like some of the castles of old that are now museums and people can come and visit them. I imagine that one day the deep underground military bases, they'll be open for viewing and for travel, and we'll be able
Just
to
like the Holocaust places, like those places, Auschwitz and those places that you now can go and see, you can go and view. It's going to be the same thing. I
I'm
have
gonna
no
go
doubt about
I don't
that.
go to any tourist trap places anymore. I refuse to hand over my energy to the
I
cabal if I can
agree.
help it. But I might, I might go just to see a deep underground military base if they ever opened one to the public. I
I
just kind
would
of want to see what that looks like.
definitely, I would love to see that.
It
I'll
would
just
be
make sure I go
fascinating.
to somebody who can go, oh, psh. Right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that time will come. It might not be in my lifetime, maybe in your lifetime. I don't know. Maybe, if we live to be 240 again, then for sure. Because yeah, I think, aging, definitely aging, we've been taught to age,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been ingrained in us, like this whole placebo effect. We only, you have 70 years and you have ill health and you get old and then you start doddering around and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's an ingrained thought process.
It is now. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that really irritates me. And I don't think people are waking up as fast to the medical aspect of that as they are, as they ought to be, because they sure have put a lot of false notions into a lot of people's minds about how healing is not possible.
yeah,
Which kind of brings me to the thought of med beds. They're also the topic of technology as well. Um, so sometimes I wonder, because you look at some of the med bed pictures that are around, it almost looks like it has a circular portal sort of ring thing that goes around the top of it. So I have to wonder if if there's some kind of dual technology that comes along with
yeah. Well, I
Stargates
mean,
and portals that they're using for med beds as well. I mean, are
well,
they?
that's what Caleb was saying as well with the med beds. They're using these crystals and that they've entrapped souls with. So it's like that, and that's what's very often charging these things up, right?
Mm,
So, I mean, and I think we've got to be so careful, because I'm not saying that everything, I mean, everyone knows I'm a great believer in Spooky 2 and the Rife machines. Now, for
mhm,
me, that's when you're using that type of scalar technology and energy and stuff like that, it's real. There is that which is real and good, and there certainly, again, is the underbelly of that as well. And that's, again, where we as human beings have to use discernment on these
mhm.
things. So, I mean, the minute they started talking about med beds, it was like, what is a med bed? I mean, I'm going back a couple of years back now, I was like, there's no way you're going to get me putting my pinky finger on that thing. Everything about it just shouted no to me. But different people have different, ideas about these things. So we've all got to just figure it out for ourselves, really, at the end of the day. That's what we have to do.
That's not as easy as it sounds, but working on it. Working on it.
But listen, okay, so if we're looking, because that's what I was going to ask you just now, and you actually started answering. So portals are 3D travel. So it's travel doorway on Earth,
Right.
right? Stargates travel to different dimensions, like
Well, you can do both with a Stargate. So a Stargate apparently, according to this reference sheet that I was sent, Stargates will take you three-dimensional to three-dimensional, so Earth location to Earth location, or they can also additionally take you to a different dimension. And I'm still struggling with the idea of a dimension. I'm a pretty visual person, so I can't really picture what a dimension is unless it's just an area that looks something like Earth but isn't Earth. I mean, that's the best I can come up with in my head at the moment. Um,
Yeah, I
So
think it's for me, it's like something where different things are possible, you
huh.
know? It's
No,
like
I hadn't thought about it that way. That's a different way of thinking about it than I was thinking
yeah.
about it. I would like so if you could ever ask someone who has been to a different dimension, because I don't think I have, what it feels like in relation to Earth, that would be a useful piece of information to have. Like, does it feel like 3D or do they have tables and chairs and cars and radios? Do they or is everything, can you just wave your hand through it because it's all fourth dimension or fifth dimension and no solid
Yeah.
matter? I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing trying to imagine it going
I think it
through
just becomes somehow
our
lighter for in my way of thinking, where you like, I think as we raise our vibration, right, to the higher frequencies, that it's like to me would probably need less food, right? Not eat as much, for example.
would there even be food at all? Would you need to eat? Do you
That's
need
what
to
I'm
eat at
saying. You
night? I
might,
don't know.
I would imagine that maybe you would like, because to me, it's kind of like the next level up. So, I mean, in my opinion, you wouldn't even think about eating an animal. When you're going into different dimensions, they become your companions again, which is, in my opinion, is what God intended for them to be for us to begin with, right? Um, you would maybe, you won't need a petrol and a gas guzzler. You would, in your car, you kind of like get to places by thought. So it's all done by ESP and intuitively. So you would be able to read someone's thoughts, right? Instead of
Mm.
communicating verbally, you'd be able to pick up their frequencies and stuff like that. And you
Mm.
you get there just by thinking of something. So just by thinking of something or someone,
Yeah,
you're already there. That sort of
translocation by thought. I think of that as kind of the whole chakra idea to start with. That
exactly,
that's
exactly,
what they might operate as. Um,
exactly, exactly.
or is a dimension more like the imagination? So I can't. Can you translocate to another dimension using your
Well, you have
imagination?
to do it with your imagination, because without your imagination, that's what Einstein said, without your imagination, you have nothing. So you've
Mm.
got to be able to imagine something, right? You have to be able to imagine something in order for it to be able to exist in your mind. So you have to be able to imagine teleporting yourself around. You've got
Mm.
to be able to imagine someone standing in front of you that you want to have a conversation with, right? But that you don't have to send an email to. It's just like
When I daydream then, or when a child daydreams, or anybody daydreams, are we literally in those moments transporting ourselves to different
yeah, I think
dimensions?
so. I
I don't know.
definitely think so. I think daydreaming is a wonderful thing. I think we should allow ourselves to daydream more. I think we worry way too much. That worry holds us down. Not having this, not having that, not enough of that. What if, what if, what if, right?
Mm,
But you daydream yourself. Um, yeah, and I would imagine it's almost the same as lucid dreaming.
could be.
Um, yeah, and I think lucid dreaming, when we're looking at the Gateway Project, for example, lucid dreaming is something that they work with there. And I think that would be one of the first ways that you get to sort of speak to someone or connect with someone in that sleepy but not really sleepy state.
They've
You
definitely they've definitely hijacked the lucid dreaming. I read
totally.
a post about Project Lucid, and a woman and another gentleman who are talking about it, and they've now interfaced it with time travel. They've interfaced it with sort of like going back and like they try to do, or have been reportedly trying to do, to go back and change a timeline, for example, by eliminating someone's grandfather. So then the person never is born. And so in the future, things don't happen, etc. I don't think they've been as successful with that as they'd hope, but they definitely have interfaced lucid dreaming with, and they say that this lucid dreaming has resulted in a number of music videos. So music videos
Right.
are produced with the technology that they've interfaced these individuals with in the space programs, essentially, for lucid dreaming. I actually, there's the Lucid Project Lucid post that I wrote has one of these music videos that's on YouTube, and I put it inside the post, and it's a wild video. It really is quite wild. And the guy whose mind produced this particular music video talks about how they wanted a certain ending, and he forced a change in the ending, which is why the end of this music video has two people doing something else, something other than what the handlers for the project wanted. So yeah, so maybe that is maybe the realms are, maybe the dimensions are inside our mind, and it's at this point where my head just kind of goes poof and starts
exactly
the electricity
exactly
making little poof.
I mean, there's got to be something. There's got to be something to it, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying so hard.
Right.
There's got to be something to it. I mean, if you think about, again, these fallen angels that have brought this information and knowledge down, and they're trying so hard to change the past. And I mean, but you can't change the future unless maybe you can, unless you've changed the past. So the past would be something that they would need. They can change the future. I mean,
they can in a way. I think they can in a way. I mean, they talked about that with Duncan Cameron talked about that in the Montauk Project experiments that he was in. And I don't remember the exact sequence. It's been a while since I've read those books, but he or his ancestor, I can't remember which, there was a name change involved with him based on him going back in time and doing something with his grandfather or whatnot. And then he wound up back in the current time, but was a different person. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of that, but it was definitely a process of big change for one individual in the present time based on going back in time and doing different weird things, which always made me wonder. So like James Rink, who has a Super Soldier channel on Rumble and a couple other places, he's talked about and interviewed quite a number of people involved in the Montauk Project. And he was one of the first people that revealed that Gloria Vanderbilt was a huge presence at Montauk in those Montauk projects. So how she exactly interfaces with that is a real curiosity to me. We should actually,
that should be something I'll actually ask Jessie, because I also know Jessie has had great dealings with Gloria.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody else mention anywhere Gloria Vanderbilt and any kind of
really
Montauk project.
Oh no, I'm not sure about the Montauk, but I know Jessie
she's talked about her extensively, but I've not heard, that's it's kind of would in my mind be an odd thing for Gloria Vanderbilt to have been involved in. But I mean, they did do, the Montauk chair is comparable to the yellow cube, and that's comparable to what they did in the project Looking Glass. They're all different facets of looking into the future and seeing what's out there, and trying to change the future timeline based on changing events in the present. So all three of those kind of dovetail together. So maybe Akina was in charge of the military aspect of that. Maybe Gloria Vanderbilt was in charge of one of the technological aspects of that. I don't know.
Let's find out. We'll actually just find out. I'll speak to Jessie about that, actually. Maybe Jessie will know about that.
Maybe she knows, yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Yay.
Stargates. Woo!
Well, we've only just gotten started, so I think definitely some of our future shows will carry on more with us. Yeah, you cool with that? And we can talk about that whole Philadelphia thing as well. The Philadelphia.
I'm like a third through the references I've got, and they just keep getting wilder the more I look into it.
Exactly. But I enjoyed this conversation tonight. Very interesting, right?
Me too.
I just love to sit and speculate and talk about these things because it's just so down my alley. But yeah. So I would love to, in future, then maybe talk about also that Philadelphia experiment that you also, that whole invisibility shield on the planes. Was it a ship or a ship, not a plane?
Ship, yeah.
They glitched. It's like super interesting. I mean,
Yeah, so that was that's been reported in a lot of places, that Philadelphia experiment, and not many people have talked about the technology they were using behind it or the purpose. So yeah, let's talk about that some other show in the
I'd
future.
love to. Yeah, we do that the next time. I'm highlighting this.
I'm doing some of my blogs now in audio form. So
I noticed that. That is so cool. I like your voice on there as well.
Lots of people have told me that. They like my voice. So,
Yeah.
and a number of people have asked me because they said, I listen to things while I'm doing housework or whatnot. And I get that. So I'm going to try to do a few more
That'll be so
regular
cool.
audio blogs, short ones, but interesting stuff, hopefully.
So cool. Look forward to that, definitely. We'll definitely be digging into all, because I'm very much, I mean, I prefer as well, like you're saying, I love reading as well, but there are just times I don't feel like I have an hour to lie down or just chill out and read, Invariably something is coming up, or a phone call pops in, or I'm distracted something. So it's nice for me when I'm busy, like in the morning doing my thing, and I have a blog on, or some type of podcast or something. So yeah, I'm happy that you're doing that as well. Yay! Well, if you want, definitely we're going to be posting your links and stuff in the description of this. So if there's any more links, please send them to me.
I'll send you the link to my BitChute channel. I've got a YouTube BitChute channel, ODYSEE channel, Rumble channel. We tend to post everything on all of them. Just mirror them in a variety of different places. You never can really trust YouTube, so I like to have the backups. But whatever your favorite
always
channel is,
the backups. Yep. Always the backups. Yeah, we've also backed up on ODYSEE and BitChute. So
so if people could subscribe to my YouTube channel, that will get the numbers up so that I can auto back up on ODYSEE. That would be nice.
Absolutely.
And if you subscribe to all of them, then whatever happens in the future, whatever nuclear disaster we have in the future.
Well, please, we'll be posting your links and stuff in the description area as well. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. Also, please just like, share, subscribe. And Aquarius Rising Africa as well, and Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa.
I thought you renamed that. Didn't you rename it?
I renewed Solutions with Shanti. Yay, I did. I did.
Like me, you forget what you've named half of this stuff.
I know, I'm having a serious moment. Yeah, it's Friday. And what can I say? Yeah. So those are the two channels that I have here as well. And they're also backed up on BitChute as well as ODYSEE. Not BitChute, sorry, Rumble. And you see, I'm already losing the plot here. And I want to say, please subscribe to especially the Rumble, because the Rumble would be the main backup channel. And, I'm forever getting like warnings and stuff like that. So I'm just like still showing them the middle finger. But so please just subscribe and like whatever you do on the Rumble channel as well. Links are in the description area below, because in case something happens here, you can find us there with all the information as well. Super interesting times we're dealing with, and we've been in them for a long time now. Anyone thinks that this is not the real deal, that that's happening at the moment, and that things are still to come, well, no, things are happening, and it is what it is. So we all got to get involved and do what we need to do at this time. Well, Veronica, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And is there anything you want to say? Maybe end off in prayer?
Oh, sure. Let's do that.
Do that, yeah.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the experiences we have in life, whether they are good or bad or anywhere in between. We thank you for the people that we have in our lives, and the people that we don't have in our lives, but who enrich us nonetheless. And we thank you for your protection, for your angelic protection, for your divine hand in our life, that we do what you want us to do for the betterment of humanity, because that's really what we're all here for in the end. In Jesus' name, amen.
I love that. Thank you.
Can't ever pray without bursting into tears. So
and it's true. We all just for the betterment of humanity, and let's all just do this together.
Yep.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. God bless you all. And I've just got to find out, because I'm on Zoom now as well. We've obviously pre-recorded the show. We're going to be putting it up early next week. So God bless you all. Have a beautiful week. Take care of yourselves, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Cherry bye.
Bye.